Yo, magandang araw sa inyong lahat. Sana nasa mabuti kayong kalagayan lalo na sa panahon ngayon. Ang topic na pag-uusapan natin ngayon ay patungkol sa participatory development. Simulan na natin. Bago tayo tumungo sa kahulugan kung ano nga ba yung participatory development, mahalaga na pag-usapan natin kung ano nga ba ang ibig sabihin ng participation. Participation is simply the act of sharing in the activities of a group or act of sharing or partaking in common with another or other. Ang ibig sabihin lang yan pakikilahok o pagsama sa mga gawain ng isang grupo. Now, according to Simon Adebo, participation refers to the involvement of significant number of persons in situation or action that enhance their well-being, such as their income, security, self-esteem, etc. Participation also tends to give more attention to decentralized development and recognition of the needs to understand and use local approach to development. Basically, in the sense of community development, ang concept ng participation ay ang pagsama o pagpaparamdam sa tao na nakatira sa isang developing community na may katulong sila o may kasama sila nang sa gayon ay magkaroon sila ng kakayahan na tumugon sa mga programs na maaaring makatulong sa kanilang komunidad. Kapag ang isang tao ay nag-participate sa isang groups, somehow na-achieve niya yung people's power na tinatawag. Now, participatory development refers to community involvement. That means people who have both the right and duty to participate in solving their own problems have a greater responsibilities in assessing their needs, mobilizing local resources and suggesting new solutions, as well as creating and maintaining local organizations. Ibig sabihin lang nun ay yung pagsama o pag-cooperate ng isang community sa mga tao na may kaalaman kung paano masosolusyonan yung problema ng community nila. Ang goal ng participatory development is to engage population in development projects sa mga katulad ng NGOs. Pagkatapos nun ay pag-uusapan nila kung ano ba yung kalagayan ng isang community. Kung ano yung mga problema na kinakarap nila sa ganong paraan, nakakuha ng information yung agencies at nakapagplano sila ng mga karapat-dapat na programs para matugunan lahat ng yun. Participatory development has taken a variety form since it emerged in 1970s, when it was introduced as an important part of the basic needs approach to development. Nagsilabasan yung iba't ibang programa at mga approach nung simulang gamitin ang konsepto ng participation sa community development. Pero kailan nga ba nagsimula ang konsepto ng participation? Intellectually, concept of participation can be traced to the notion of development conceived and popularized by Mahatma Gandhi in 1940s. According to his writings, called Hind Swaraj, o sa English Indian Home Rule, to achieve participatory development, the officials and planners must approach the community with a sense of service, not with an attitude of superiority. Ang tinutukoy niya dito ay yung industrialization na nangyayari sa India noong mga panahon na yun. Pansin niya na hindi naman natutugunan ng industrialismo ang mga problema na kinakarap ng kanilang bansa. Ang ideya niya kasi ng community is complete republic, independent of its neighbor for its own vital wants. He was confident that if the village community is united in focus, it can do away with division of society that undermine its progress like religion and caste system. Sa panong paraan, Gandhi urges his fellow countrymen to change self-defeating attitudes for their own betterment. Kung lahat ay magtutulungan, lilikha ito ng malaking pagbabago sa isang community. Sunod naman ay ang orientation ni Paulo Freire patungkol sa participatory development. Kilala si Paulo Freire bilang isang dalubhasa sa sining ng pagtuturo tungkol sa oppression. Freire points out, whenever any social class become oppressed and is reduced to a culture of silence, that section is defied participation in the creation of its own humanity and as such becomes only an object of knowledge. When this group is mobilized to participate in decision making for social development, the group begins to create its own history and engage in its own process of development. To take action against the oppressive elements of reality, yan yung definition niya ng participation. Ngayon nalaman na natin ang history ng concept ng participation, mahalaga naman na pag-usapan ang iba't ibang role ng participation sa ating community. First is cognitive. Cognitive refers to generate different mode of understanding the realities to be addressed. According to Mahid Ranima, ang participation sa ilalim ng cognitive process ay naghahanap ng bagong sistema ng kaalaman na pwedeng magamit sa pagtataguyod ng development sa isang community. Isa sa mga halimbawa ng knowledge system na yon ay yung indigenous knowledge system. Ayan. Na kung saan naririto ang kaalaman na tinuturo sa isang mamamayan na nakabase sa karanasan ng mga taong nakatira sa lugar na yon. Sunod is political. Political refers to empowering the voiceless dahil ang objective ng participation through political is to legitimize development as an avenue for helping the poor, empowering the powerless gaya ng pagdodonate sa mga programs na tumutulong sa mga mahihirap at syempre pagpupuna sa nangyayaring operation sa isang community. Next is instrumental. Instrumental is simply refers to proposing new alternatives. Ano nga ba ang mga alternatives na yun? Ito yung pagpo-provide ng mga bagong techniques para maging successful ang isang development program in the line of participation approach. Sa pagpapatupad ng mga programs na yun, mahalagang aspeto ang skill and knowledge ng mga membro ng isang community dahil sila ang nakakalam ng problema sa kanilang lugar at kung ano yung nararapat na solusyon dito. Next is social. Social participation has given development discourse a new legitimacy and lease of life. Ito yung pagpapalaganap ng kaunlaran sa nakararami through informing peoples with balanced, objective information. Pag-usapan naman natin ang empowerment. The notion of empowerment is the central idea of participation. Dito umiikot ang prinsipyo ng participation at isa rin sa mga keyword kapag pinag-uusapan ng participation approach. Siyempre, for doing proper participatory development, it is essential to address kung sino nga ba ang empowered o sino ang hindi. Alam naman natin na power refers to ability to do something. Nisi Nelson and Susan Wright divide power in relation to participatory development into two components, power to and power over. First is power to. Power to is about being able to act. It can begin with the awareness that it is possible to grow in the process of taking action, developing skills and capabilities, and realizing that one can effect change. So, ibig sabihin, yung empowerment na nangyayari ay nagsisimula sa sarili. This happens on 3 levels. First is individual develops their own self-confidence for action and associated activities. So yan, kailangan mo muna mag-build ng self-confidence para mabuo yung empowerment mo sa sarili. Pag sinabing self-confidence, ito yung pagkakaroon ng tiwala na kaya mong ma-accomplish lahat ng pwede mong gawin. Gamit lang yung skills na meron ka. Next is the ability to speak for themselves or for their group. To negotiate and make or change relationships. Yun yung parang pinaka-purpose ng public speaking, no? Yung ito. Ngayong may self-confidence ka na, oras naman para makapag-influence ka ng ibang tao. At sa mga halimbawa nun, isa sa mga halimbawa nun ay yun nga, public speaking, kung saan ginagamit mo yung salita mo para makapag-influence ng ibang tao, para makapag-empowerment ng ibang tao. Last is the ability to operationalize the realization that group action is often more effective or powerful than isolated action. Mas effective ang approach ng empowerment kung i-apply siya sa community sa pamamagitan ng community involvement dahil mas marami kang makakasama through volunteering. Next naman is power over. Power over is about gaining political power. This is the process whereby marginalized groups gain access to decision-making institutions, such as either departmental or national sub-ministries and resources held therein. Ang power over naman ay nakapokus sa collective group of power ng mga marginalized group para labanan ang oppression through gaining access in decision making sa mga institution. Pwedeng halimbawa dito ay kung magiging community organizers ka. Ayan. Kung mapapansin nyo, si former US President Barack Obama yung nasa peak. Kasi isa rin siyang community organizer. Nakaraan ko lang rin nalaman. Isinulong niya nung community organizer pa siya ay yung civil rights movement sa Chicago. Dahil nung panahon na yun, hindi maganda yung pakikatungo ng mga nakatira doon sa mga Black Americans. Ngayon, hindi pwedeng mawala ang usapin ng women empowerment kapag pinag-uusapan ng participatory development. Since women are the most marginalized and vulnerable group of a society. Participatory development is deeply rooted in gender inclusion in the development process. According to Amartya Sen, ang konsepto ng feminism ay hindi lang patungkol sa pagiging independent ng mga kababaihan, kundi patungkol ito sa involvement ng mga kababaihan sa development ng isang society. So, napag-usapan naman natin ang typology of participation. Ngayon, napag-usapan na natin ang konsepto ng empowerment sa tao. Now, let's talk about how people participate in development programs and projects. Una na riyan ang passive participation. Sa passive participation, communities participate by being told or already happened. Ayan, kung makikita nyo, it involves unilateral announcement by an administration or project management. Yung outside professionals, kagaya ng mga social workers, sila lang yung nagsasalita habang nakikinig naman yung mga audience o yung pamilya. Sunod naman is the participation in information giving. Through participation in information giving, people participate by answering questions posed by extractive researchers. Okay. Familiar ba kayo sa census? Yan. Census, kung saan bumibisita sila sa mga bahay-bahay at nagtatanong kung ilan yung member ng pamilya. So, ayun. Ilan sa kanila gumagamit ng mga questionnaire survey para makakuha ng information sa isang pamilya or sa isang community. Ganun. Next is participation by consultation, where communities participates by being consulted or by answering questions. Ayan, kung makikita nyo, external professionals listen to the views and questions of the people. These external professionals defines problems and solutions and may modify this in the light of people's response. This process does not concede any share in decision making, and professionals are under no obligation to take on board people's view. Next is participation for material incentives. Dito naman communities participate by contributing resources such as labor in return for material incentives. Usually, farm research falls in this category, dahil nagpo-provide ng mga lupain yung mga farmers para pag-aralan ng mga researchers. At tawag sa proseso na yun yung prospecting. Yan. Kung makikita nyo. Next is functional participation, where community participation is seen by external agencies as a mean to achieve the project goals. And this family tends to be self-dependent or external initiators and facilitators. Pero kahit na ganun, tumutulong pa rin sila para maging effective yung program. Next is the interactive participation, where people participate in joint analysis, development of action plans, and formation or strengthen of local institution. As you can see, sa kategory na to ay nabibigyan na ng community or yung mga local people na to take control para mamahala sa isang community planning. Ayan. Last is self-mobilization. Sa self-mobilization, people participate by taking initiatives independent of external institution to change system. Ngayon, may karapatan na sila na sumali sa community planning. They will now empowered para magpakilos na isang samahan for community development. Yan, mangyayari lamang yan kung makakahanap sila ng mga stakeholders. Pag sinabing stakeholders, ito yung mga NGOs, mga private sectors, mga donors, and financial institutions. Now let's talk about different approach to undertake participatory development. Robert Chambers is known as the father of participatory development approach. He invented a variety of approach to undertake participatory development. Una na rito ay yung participatory rural appraisal. Ayan. Participatory rural appraisal refers to an approach to development planning and as method of investigation involved from many different sources. Ginagamit ito ng NGOs, itong approach na to. At iba pang mga agencies na involved sa community development. Hindi lang yun, ito rin ay isang assessment at learning process para makatulong sa mga farmers to analyze their own situation. There are 4 principles of participatory rural appraisal na dapat sundin kung tayo man ay may involved sa ganitong uri ng programa. Una, mahalaga ang respeto sa kung anumang impormasyon ang maibibigay ng mga local people. Kailangan matuto tayo sa kanilang karanasan dahil mas malawak ang kaalaman nila. Dahil sariling community nila yung tinitirahan nila. Pangalawa, mahalaga rin na pakinggan natin ang mga hinaing ng mga naaapi sa community na yon. Pangatlo ay yung flexibility. So, hindi lang dapat tayo nakadepende sa mga fixed plan na action since kada community na pinupuntahan, iba't iba ang situation na kinakaharap. Pang-apat ay dapat nakikita at nararamdaman ang pagtutulungan ng bawat isa sa loob ng isang community. Ayan. Since ang participatory rural appraisal is a methodology used for interactive process of social development, meron itong iba't ibang methods para may sagawa ito. Una ay ang transect walks. This involves walking with the villagers through the village and discussing about different aspects of land and water in the village during the walks. Isa itong magandang paraan para mapag-usapan ang kalagayan ng isang community. At the same time, nakikita mo yung lugar na kanilang tinutukoy habang pinag-uusapan yun. Sunod ay yung social mapping. Social mapping is a participatory rural appraisal tool which intends to map the social structure and institution of the area. It is also an option to identify household based on predefined indicators relating to socio-economic conditions. So yan makikita nyo, ginagamit ito para malaman ang rankings kung saang lugar nga ba mas kailangan bigyan ng atensyon ng mga community developers. So yan, yung next na approach naman is yung rapid rural appraisal. Rapid rural appraisal is a process of learning about rural conditions in an iterative and expeditious manner. It is a family of approaches and methods to enable rural people to present, share, and analyze their knowledge of life and condition to plan and act. Kung tutuusin, halos pares lang yung techniques na ginagamit ng participatory rural appraisal tsaka ng rapid rural appraisal. Ang pinakamalaking pagkakaiba lang ay sa pagpaplano at pagsasagawa. Pero sa rapid rural appraisal naman, it is done by the expert, Ayun, kung makikita nyo. Sa participatory rural appraisal, mas involved yung local people. Sa rapid rural appraisal naman, it is done by the expert or outsiders gamit ang mga informations na nakuha nila sa mga local people. Sunod naman, talakayan naman natin kung bakit nga ba gamit yung konsepto ng participation sa development. Sa mga local organizations, ang konsepto ng empowerment sa mga individuals at sa communities ay para ma-prioritize o ma-implement and to solve their own problems at the same time to challenge wider political issues. Dapat natin tanungin why there's unprecedented call for participatory practice. First is participation as a concept is seen as necessary requirement. Government and institutions interested in greater productivity at low cost are are increasing in needs of participation for their own purposes. So kung babasahin natin, interesado ang gobyerno at ang institution sa participation dahil mas effective na gamitin yun sa development. Dahil ito yung process na produktibo at the same time ginagamitan lamang to ng mababang pondo. Pangalawa, participation is perceived as an instrument for greater effectiveness as well as new source of investment. So, nakita ang pagiging epektibo ng participation para maging mapagkukunan ng investment. No? Participatory approaches bring a close knowledge of the field reality, which foreign techniques and government bureaucrats do not have. Networks and relations essential both to the success of ongoing projects and long-term investment in rural areas. The cooperation and the local scene or organizations able to carry out development activities. Last is participation is becoming a good fundraising device. In the last 10 years, naging sikat ang development-oriented NGOs. This is because to the reputation of NGOs and their participation in less bureaucratized approach that allows them to meet the needs of people with greater efficiency and at less cost. So gaya nga ng sabi ni Jake, ang development ay nakatuon sa tao at sa lagay ng participatory development, mahalaga na magkaroon ng empowerment ang bawat isa para gumana ang isang society. So hanggang doon na lang muna. Sana kahit paano may natutunan kayo. Pasensya na medyo nawawala-wala yung boses ko. Maraming salamat and bye.